In this lesson video, we will continue discussing the external cell references. Now we will focus on how to reference data that exist in other workbooks. However, in order to fully cover this topic, we first need to understand some basic techniques for working with two or more files simultaneously. So, for this current lesson, we will open two files at once. The first file is the year 2021 file, which is the file we used in the previous lesson. The second is the year 2020 file. To open these two files at the same time, it's pretty easy. After you open one of them, for example, you have opened the file year 2021, just go to the File menu and select Open. You can use this PC or Browse to select another file. I use Browse to open the File Explorer and select the file year 2020, then click Open. If you have two or more Excel files open at the same time, to move from one file to another, you can use several methods. The first method is to use the Windows taskbar. If you hover the mouse cursor over the Excel application on the taskbar, you can see which Excel files are currently opened. Just click on the file you want to view. The second method is to use the shortcut for the Windows taskbar, which is Alt-Tab. You can hold Alt and then press Tab several times until the file you want to open is selected. Then release the Alt key to open the file. The third method is to use the Ctrl-Tab shortcut. This shortcut is similar to Alt-Tab, except it works locally. So it only works if you are currently open Excel and not any other programs. For example, I am currently opening the year 2021 file. If I press Ctrl-Tab, now the file year 2020 is opened. If I press Ctrl-Tab again, the file year 2021 will be opened. The last method is to use the Switch Windows command in the View menu inside Excel. From this list, you can choose which file you want to open. For now, make sure you open the file called year 2021. In terms of the code format, writing an external workbook reference is similar to the one we used before. You only need to add the name of the file you want to target at the beginning. You then need to enclose the file name inside two brackets. If the file name or the worksheet name contains space or other special characters, then you must precede these names with a single quote and close it again with a single quote before the exclamation symbol. It looks quite complicated. However, as with before, we don't have to type all of this manually. We can just use the mouse combined with the file switching techniques we discussed earlier. To see this in action, let's take a look at the following example. In the file year 2021, if you open the third worksheet, the one called Growth, you can see the total value for 2021. I made this using the method we discussed in a previous lesson. But this is not the main point of our current lesson. This column is. Our task now is to calculate the total values for 2020. The problem is that the data are not in this file, but in another file called year 2020. To do this, first, select cell B2, then press Alt equal to quickly create a sum function to reference cells in other files. In this stage, you can use any of the file switching methods we discussed earlier. You can press Alt-Tab or Ctrl-Tab, or you can also open the View menu and click on the Switch window, then select the year 2020 file. Whichever method you choose, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that the year 2020 file is now opened. Then click drag to select the cells. After you are done, press Enter. We can see the result like this. We can check that in the formula we just created, there is a file name year 2020 in a cell reference. At the first glance, everything seems okay. But if we duplicate the formula by double-clicking on this autofill square, all of them produce uniform values. Surely, there is something wrong with these values. If we check more carefully, it turns out that the cell references created by Excel are absolute. We can see the dollar symbols in the column and the row cell reference. From this example, we can conclude that by default, when Excel creates an external reference to another file, it will use an absolute type. So, to be able to duplicate this formula properly, we must first change the cell reference to a relative one. To do that, first, delete these two cells, and let's focus on the cell. Click here so that the text cursor is in the cell reference code. Then press F4 several times until all the dollar symbols are gone. Do the same for the cell reference. Keep pressing F4 until there is no more dollar sign. After that, press Enter to confirm. Then, we can double-click again on the autofill square. And now we have the results as we expected. As a bonus lesson, we are going to calculate the percentage increase in the total value in 2021 when compared to the total value from the previous year 2020. For this, we can select cell D2, type equal, open parenthesis, click on cell C2, minus symbol, click on cell B2, then the closing parenthesis. Next, add a forward slash symbol, and click again on cell B2. Press Enter to confirm. This is the result. As we can see, the result is not in a percentage format. To convert it into a percentage, make sure the cell is selected. Then, on the home menu, click on the button with a percentage symbol. And now we have a value of 74%. If you are still confused about this numbering format, don't worry because we will discuss this more in depth in the next few lessons. After we have the correct result and the correct formatting on the first cell, just double-click on the autofill square. And now we have a result like this. Let's get back to discussing external file references. The advantage of using an external file reference is that any changes that happen inside the referenced file will reflect automatically to the file that references it without us having to change it manually. For example, let's say in the year 2020 file, there is a revision to the incomes data for the month of November from 125 to 300. If we go back to the year 2021 file again, we can see that the total value in 2020 increased automatically, which led to the percentage value of growth going down. Again, all of this happens automatically. We only change one data in the year 2020 file. Until now, you may be wondering, what if we close the file year 2020? How does it affect the year 2021 file that references it? If we close this file by opening the file menu, then choose Close here. We select Save so that we don't lose the changes. At first glance, it seems nothing happened to the year 2021 file. But if you look closely at the external cell reference code, for example, the one in B2, previously, the cell reference only uses the file name inside brackets. Now, the file name appears in this long format showing the full address. My point is, if the file you are referencing is currently open, then Excel doesn't need the file's full address. It is enough just to provide the name of the file. But if the file you want to reference is closed, then you must write the full address like this. So, it is more convenient if you reference a currently opened file because we can just use the mouse. And when you close the file, Excel will automatically convert the file name to its full address.